my channel Book Talks with Yo. My name is Yoanna and today I'm doing the My Writing Process Authortube tag. How are you, lovely people? I hope you were feeling well and I hope you enjoyed all the winter holidays there were. I certainly did, and now I'm back in Scotland and hopefully I'm back to being more productive after this lovely break. But I'm happy, I'm glad I took that break because I needed it. Today I'm coming at you with another tag video because I really like the idea of it and I thought it would be an interesting one to do. It's all about my writing process or routine, and the original video was created by the Bookish pen babe, and I will leave a link to her video, the original video, down in the description box. But yeah, pretty much I'm still figuring out my writing routine or process, so I thought that answering those questions might help me. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first question of this tag is: what genres do you write? Well, I would say I mostly enjoy writing YA and new adult romance novels, but I also like writing YA contemporary. And the project I'm currently working on, or more precisely editing right now, and I was working on during NaNoWriMo, is a YA contemporary, and I'm seriously loving every single second of it. The second question is: what setting gets you the most productive? I would say I'm most productive when I'm here, because I really get into my productive and creative headspace and I can limit all distractions, I can play some music, light a candle and just start writing. So yeah, here at this flat is where I get most productive and creative. The third question is: if you have multiple story ideas, how do you go about picking which one to start on first? That's a difficult question. I usually go for the idea that I have most things figured out for and that I think I have the most to say at that moment. But sometimes I do find myself thinking about some other ideas while I'm working on another project, and what I do is I allow myself to just scribble down some notes about this other story that I'm thinking about, so it doesn't make me feel too overwhelmed. Like right now I want to focus on editing my current project, but it was not last month, it was a few weeks ago, I just got an idea for another story and I really want to start working on it, but I know that if I start doing that, I will just I won't be able to concentrate on editing, and this is something that I want to get done. So I just scribble down some notes on my phone. I think I scribbled them on my phone, and I know that I will get back to them at some other point when I have more things figured out for that idea. The fourth question is: do you outline? Well, I always make some notes on the plot, like plot mapping, but I wouldn't say I make an outline for my story, because it sometimes, well, not sometimes, usually changes. But yeah, I have some very, very brief ideas about the overall outline of the story, but I don't make an extensive one because I know that I'm probably not going to stick to it. Next one: do you start your first draft with pen and paper, typewriter or computer? Well, I wish I could say I use a typewriter because I love them, but no, I write my first draft and every single other draft on my laptop. The next question: what do you do to get through writer's block? Oh, I love this question. I used to struggle with the so-called writer's block a few years ago, but I think I can say I'm doing a lot better right now. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself, but yeah. What I usually do when I feel this writer's block kicking in is I remind myself that I control this feeling. I control the so-called writer's block and not the other way around. I also remind myself of why I am writing and why I love writing. Or sometimes I start working on a different project or come up with new ideas, because you know this initial spark of creativity is always really motivating. Sometimes if those don't work, I would just take a break and do something else. I have a separate video solely based on dealing with writer's block, so if you want you can check it out and see my other tips. Next one. Do you format your project from the beginning or worry about that later? I'm so bad with formatting. Like, I finished my book recently and I wanted to print it out so I can edit more easily. And the thing is that I looked at my novel, I was like, okay, so now maybe I should format it a little before I print it out, but I had no idea what to do. Like, I have no idea what to do with formatting, and this is something I should really work on. Note to myself for 2021, learn how to format. But like, I mean, I know I usually, while I'm writing my story, I separate it into paragraphs and into chapters, and I have no problem with that. But when it comes to choosing a specific font and all those things, I am very, very bad. But yeah, as I said, this is something that I will be working on in this year, hopefully. So the next question is, do you edit as you go or when you're finished with the first draft? Well, I used to edit as I go a few years ago, but it just didn't work for me. It was really stressing me out, making me feel bad, and usually just putting me into a writer's slump, not a writer's block, but a writer's slump. It was just not working for me. I know a lot of people do it that way and they find it really helpful, but it's just too stressful for me. A thing that NaNoWriMo taught me is that I just need to get the words out in the first draft, and then I'll have plenty of time to edit. And this is what I'm doing right now, and it's really working for me. It's really helpful. It makes me feel less stressed. Although, you know, the moment you finish the first draft and you realize all the edits you have to do, it might be a bit stressful, but I am a person who loves editing, so yeah, it just works for me. Okay, the next question is, after finishing your drafts or manuscript, how long do you give it a break before you start going back over it, or do you give it a break at all? Well, I know that giving it a break is very important, and I've talked about it in one of my videos, that, you know, if you start editing right after you finish the draft, you won't be looking at it with fresh eyes, and just won't be that efficient. But yeah, I usually try, and I mean try, to give it at least a month between drafts, between edits, but sometimes I'm too impatient to go back to my characters and I give it like 2 weeks or something like this. But yeah, at least I give it at least a week, because I know that I want to be able to look at it with fresh eyes and be critical and not too emotionally attached to my story. So the 10th question is there something that you prefer to do to get you through writing? Playing music, TV, having your favorite drink, or food? Well, I usually play some music in the background, like lo-fi or something like this, because I don't want to get distracted. And I don't watch the TV while I'm writing, because that would be too distracting for me. But I have my tea or coffee or hot chocolate, whatever I'm in the mood for. And yeah, I light a candle or my essential oil burner just to create the creative atmosphere. Yeah, I don't eat while I'm writing, but I bribe myself with food. Like, I would put a piece of chocolate or something else next to me, and I would tell myself that I can have this piece of chocolate or whatever after I'm finished with this scene or with this chapter or whatever. Yeah, it definitely works for me. Bribing myself with food is what gets me writing. Next question. Do you schedule your writing sessions? Well, I don't have a strict schedule, because I don't think that would work for me. But I genuinely try to have a few writing sessions throughout the day. And the first one, I mainly try to do it early in the morning after my workout, because this is when I'm feeling most energized and motivated, and I know that I will get the most work done. And then I usually have 1 or 2 more sessions in the afternoon, depending on my lectures for that day. And it would usually be either after my lectures or in between them, or something like this. Next one. Do you have word count or chapter goals for your writing sessions? Well, during NaNoWriMo, I do have a word count goal for the day, and I usually try to write around 2,000 words a day. But during the rest of the year, when I'm not participating in NaNoWriMo, I don't set myself a word count or a story goal for the day, because I don't think that would work for me. I mean, it depends on the day. Some days I'm a lot busier than others, and I just don't have the motivation or the inspiration to write that much, but I genuinely try to write as much as I can every day. Next one. Are there any quirky things you do to make your projects more fun? I can't really think of anything quirky that I do while I'm writing. Like, if we consider this quirky, I love doing those very, very, very extensive character profile sheets that I've been talking about in every video, I know. But yeah, I just love making them, and I love finding pictures on Pinterest that match the idea of my characters in my head. Next one. Do you work on multiple projects at the same time? Well, I try not to do that. Sometimes it happens, but most of the time I try to concentrate on one project at a time. Next one. How often do you research what you are writing? Well, it really depends on the thing I'm writing. My first novel was a romantic one, but it involved a lot of traveling between different countries, and I had to do some research. I was only talking about countries that I've visited, but I still needed to do some research because I wanted to be as accurate as possible, and I wanted to show as many of the places as possible. And for my current project, I have characters from 8 different countries. So yeah, it was a lot of research because I wanted to include different folk tales or urban legends from those countries. And yeah, it was a bit more research, but not that much overall. Next one. How do you organize your projects? Well, in folders on my laptop and in binders of the physical printed things for my novels, pretty much. Next one. Do you reward or punish yourself for achieving or missing out on your writing goals? No punishments. Writing is supposed to be fun, so no. It's supposed to be enjoyable. I try to reward myself, but I usually forget to. Next one. Are there any works similar to your projects that you look for and use for inspiration and or comparison? Well, my current project is inspired by classic, Decameron, and before I started writing it, I reread this book and I made some notes because I wanted to, well, it's a modern, it's not a retelling, but it's just inspired by the novel in modern times. So yeah, I wanted to reread it and remind myself of what was happening here. Next one. How early do you wait to start looking for and hiring editors? Still haven't done this. We'll have to think about this year. And the 20th question is, if you finished a first draft or a manuscript, tell us how you felt afterwards. Pick your favorite. If you are not through the first draft yet, tell us how you're feeling about it at the moment. Honestly, the feeling is fantastic. Like, I cannot think of words to express exactly how I felt, but I still remember after I finished my first draft ever, I cried happy tears, I laughed, I danced around, and I was just so proud and so happy. And at that moment, I had proven myself that I was capable of doing it. And I remember I danced around my room, I sang my lungs out. I was just singing and dancing, and I was so happy. And the feeling after I finished the first draft of my current project was very similar, to be honest. I was just laughing and I was singing and dancing around, jumping around the house. Yeah, it's just a fantastic feeling, and I like to remind myself of this feeling whenever I feel a writer's block or something similar kick in. I just remind myself of this amazing feeling that, as I said, it just cannot be explained with words. And the last one is to tag someone, and I'm honestly tagging anyone who wants to do this tag, as it's a lot of fun. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my new videos. Please let me know down in the comments what are some things that you do when you're writing. Thank you once more for watching, and I really hope to see you all next time. Until then, have a smiley week. Bye!